So for today we're going to work on the distributor on this XPAG engine. We've already made up some new spark plug wires. Other ones were old and brittle. We get some solid core 7mm wire and cut them to length, matched them up with the old ones. We're going to pop the cap off here and take a look inside, replace the points and condenser. We've had this apart before, so we'll be able to see what's in there. As I said, we've had this apart before, so there's a rotor in there. Let that out. The other thing we've already had out is this plate that the points are mounted to, and this particular unit came with a condenser that was soldered to the plate. I don't know quite why they did that, because the way this is bent around here, it ain't gonna move anyway. But the wire was all brittle and broken, so we thought we'd have a new condenser and some new points. So the thing is, you get this spiffy replacement part, and the only way you can buy the points is pre-mounted to the plate. They take a more modern condenser and drill and tap a hole in the plate and mount it that way, and that's what you get. So you get down in here, there's some weights down in here and some springs. You want to make sure that those are free, because that's what sets your mechanical advance, centrifugal advance. And you can put a little lube behind those points and set the gap. One thing we've got to do is, it doesn't hardly seem like it's the same. Let's make sure. Yeah, the plate looks different, but I suppose the function is the same. It sits up on there, held in with 2 screws. What we're going to have to do is steal this post out of the old one, put in the new one where the wire connects. So we'll do that off camera. So what you have is a bolt that runs through there. Essentially got a little square head on it. You've got a little insulating pad that insulates the bolt from the point plate. Then you've got another little insulator that goes on the outside that keeps the bolt in the center, and then a nut that tightens it all up. Of course, the object here is, this is where the wire from the coil comes. You don't want that to ground to the plate. That would be a problem. And like everything else, the genius that put this condenser on there had a multitude of options, and managed to put the thing on there so that the wire was almost O2 short. You know, really, sometimes people need to think a little bit about what they're doing, but we'll get it to work. We'll go ahead and put it in there and see if we can get our points to work. What we've got to do, set that down in there, put these 2 screws back in. If you got fumble fingers like we do, sometimes this little tool will help you, sometimes not. Let's see, it may not work with this little tiny screw, but what it does, it locks this little tool into the slot. Now the slot's going to be too small, so we'll just have to sneak up on it, put it in there normally without dropping it or losing it somewhere. We can do it. There we go. There you go. Fumble fingers at its best. Okay. And okay. Now what we're going to have to do is turn the engine over. There's 4 lobes on this cam in here, the center post of the distributor. And we turn the engine over until we get the point block to rub against the high spot on one of those cams, and then we can adjust the gap in the points. Now we put a little light on the subject. The manual calls for about 12 thousandths gap. We've managed to turn the engine over so that we're right in the middle of that high spot, and we'll try to feed this feeler gauge in between the points and see what we got. Boy, that's pretty doggone close. You can sometimes you may need a narrow feeler gauge to get it in there. This one's okay, but you can just feel just a slight amount of drag as you slide that feeler gauge through there. So those points, believe it or not, are just about spot on without any adjustment. We'll make sure these screws are tight. That looks good. We can put a little bit of lubricant behind the rubbing block, and should be good to go. Cleaned up our rotor. You get the rotor on there, you can kind of see as you move that shaft through the advance, you can see the points start to close, so you know you're in the right spot. We'll put our dizzy cap back on. Only goes one place. Make sure its notches are all lined up. Clips up. And there you go. We got new points, condenser, new plug wires. Got to put an end on our coil wire, and once we get ready, plug it in, and that's another job crossed off the list.